Hi, so my name is Kimberly, and we're going to be talking about organizational behavior. I think organizational behavior is really important, and I think it definitely comes into play where people say first impressions matter. Be, um, this especially has to do with the fact that, like, if you are coming in as a project manager specifically, and emotions are already high, however you carried yourself during that first meeting is definitely going to be how we're going to perceive you and how we're going to think about you moving forward until you prove us otherwise. So, um, we're going to start off like when a new manager comes in. We don't really see them fully objectively at first as a team member currently, um, or as a marketing manager of my own little team currently. For the directors above us, or when we are merging with another team, as we currently do in my office, we don't really look at the manager objectively. We are definitely judging them. We're seeing how they carry themselves, what they're going to say, what attitude they're bringing when they first step into the room, especially if they have just been promoted or they're just fully new to our organization. So there's like the halo effect. This is really basically one good trait or bad trait fully shapes how we look at someone. For example, if they come in and like say it's not really their fault, but they're having a bad day, and that is coming off in how they talk to us or how they address the meeting, that's going to shape how we see them. And that's probably going to be how we see them for a really long time until they, once again, do something differently, improves otherwise. So another good example is like if they come in really confident, like none of us know you, you're coming in and you're just like, you're boistering, you're like the big dog, or you think you are. We're not going to really feel comfortable talking to you or coming up to you. So that's going to set a precedence for the project moving forward. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on the team. From like I said, for my team specifically, that'd be a bad thing. None of us really are going to want to talk to you. And as a small team, that's going to create some problems and friction. The next one would be stereotyping. Like if we're talking based on someone's age, their appearance, or even their background without knowing anything about them. Like say if someone's really young. Now, this one specifically doesn't fully apply to my team, but I do see how this could be an issue because my team is on the younger side. But if someone really young, like younger than all of us, came up and they're new to the organization, they're younger than all of us, we're going to be a little skeptical. I'd like to say that not everybody is going to look at this as in a bad connotation, but I do think that stereotyping can be an issue. I think this happens way more than people would like to admit, but I also think that with stereotyping, it's sometimes easier to come out of that pre-established look or pre-established image. Then there's selective perception. So we notice one little thing and then we kind of run with it and we just choose to believe everything with it. So this is like if someone thinks a manager is super strict, then they just are gonna take every little detail that they see to support that idea. This is like kind of like, it becomes like a filter of how you view someone. Take, for example, like rose-colored glasses. You're just looking at everything with that view. The same thing can happen in a professional setting. We're just selectively choosing to look at all the bad things. Or it could also go the other way, selectively only choosing to look at all the good things. And this isn't something people typically do maliciously, but it is something that can lead to a lot of problems because you're not choosing to see the person as a whole. You're just choosing to select the certain details that are going to fit the idea you've already created in your head. So overall, new managers are often judged because they're new. Honestly, that's how I view it. I think it's because they're new. We don't know you. We have no experience with you. You're coming into onto a stage where you kind of have to show your best foot first, and you kind of have to gain people's trust, and that can be difficult. But I do think, as from the standpoint of the team member, you want to go into a meeting like that open-minded. You want to be like, you want to go in, you want to accept the fact that this person is going to bring a lot of good to your team, and you want to be able to take only the good. People make mistakes, and it's important to give people the chance, especially if it's for the good of your team, good for your project. The next prompt we're going to talk about is fundamental attribution error. This one is basically about how people blame the wrong thing. And as humans, we all do this. None of us are free of this. Think of it, the way I think about it is thinking about a situation where people just assume something is correct. Or you just assume, you look at someone and you assume that that's their personality. Like me, you could look at me and just assume Asian, really smart. Or you could look at my mom, because my mom's blonde. Blonde, not so smart. It's just, we're assuming something about someone's personality. So what I like to do as someone who has suffered from stereotypes or just assumptions is I'd like to go into something very slowly to build my perspective of someone slowly as I get to know them. Let their actions and their words speak for them. What are they saying? How are they handling things? If it's a new manager, how are you talking to the team? How are you distributing tasks and responsibilities? Are you giving us the chance to help, or are you micromanaging us? I would like to believe that I'm not going to assume something about someone. I would like to believe that I'm going to go based on what they're showing me. So instead of just assuming someone's lazy or rude or unprofessional, I want to be able to give them the chance. I'd like to think that there's always something going on behind the curtain, and we don't know until we take a second to see what it is. A really good example of this is actually in a separate class of mine. We have someone that isn't contributing on a project. They're just not showing up, and we don't know why. They're not answering. But right now, I'm not trying to put blame on this person. I'm not saying they're lazy or that they don't care. I want to choose to believe that maybe there's something going on in their life that they just haven't had a chance to communicate to us yet. So a good way of looking at this is to always keep your mind open, but also look at it. Separate their intent versus what you currently see in the moment. What are they trying to give to you? What are they trying to do for your team, for your project, for your company, versus of what you currently see in that second, especially if emotions are high. A lot of people are complex. People are all different. There's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of different differences, and you don't want to be that person that just jumps to conclusions. The next prompt is going to be positive reinforcement. So positive reinforcement is basically anything that rewards behavior so people repeat it. This can be good, this can be bad. It's not necessarily one or the other. It all depends on how it's handled, how you do it, and how often you do it. So good examples of this would be positive reinforcement as a manager would be promotions, bonuses, and recognition, or even just flexibility in their time off and in their schedule. Those are positive reinforcements that make people want to keep doing what they're doing, keep putting in the effort. It keeps motivation high. It even helps with longevity overall in the company. In my own personal experience, a positive reinforcement that I like is being recognized for a job well done, or recognized for the value one brings to the company. If I feel valued in a company, I'm going to want to put in that extra work. I want to put in the extra effort, and I'm going to push to be that person that people can come to. If I'm not micromanaged and I can perform naturally, that's something that I think is a great positive reinforcement. It's I do think positive reinforcement is not necessarily always about money. It's, like I said, we have people like me who, as long as you recognize us and you give us a little bit of freedom, that is sometimes better than money. Um, Different people just respond differently to different rewards. A good manager is going to know what their team considers a reward and what is considered something that's going to push them forward. If you're just giving out cookies for a long period of where everyone had to do overtime, that's not really going to be considered as positive reinforcement. That's actually going to do the complete opposite. People are going to feel a little bit used, a little bit undermined, like they're not, like the company didn't value everything that they did. So I definitely think positive reinforcement is something that needs to be handled carefully and with caution. Okay, so for prompt 4, workplace culture, Bandura talks about people learn watching others. So monkey see, monkey do. This is typically talked about for children, but this also happens in companies, and this also happens in the workforce. Employees are gonna copy what they see at work, and this can be good or this can be bad. So how does this happen in a company? This type of culture forms when there's lack of trust, there's a lot of competitiveness, blame is shifted and focused on others, and it's very fear-based. Now, why does this happen? This happens because managers push mistakes onto others, and that's because they were published publicly. An example of this would be like in my current position, if our manager is insistent of doing things a specific way, and we do things out exactly how we asked, but the project doesn't have the result that he anticipated, it's automatically our fault, not his fault. The project went wrong, we missed something. Another way this happens is employees reporting each other. There is no trust. You're living in fear. If any little thing you think you did wrong and you think someone saw you, you're gonna live in fear that someone is gonna report you for that. There's a lot of favoritism. That's another really big one as to why this culture builds. Employees start avoiding mistakes. So if you start avoiding mistakes, there is no innovation, there's no motivation to go past what you already know and what you already do, because you're just scared that something's going to go wrong. Another thing that happens is that employees just solely protect themselves. It's just me and against the world, not a team against the world. So this can cause friction between coworkers. And then what I think is a really bad one is yes sir, no sir, pleasing the boss. They'll do anything and everything to please the boss, even if it goes against what the team needs. So I think the good way to describe this is survival mode. People are no longer trying to work, no longer enjoy their work. They're solely trying to survive the day by day. In the long term, yes, this can create compliance. Like it's a very good way to persuade people to do exactly what you want. Like yes sir, like I said, yes or no sir. But in the long term, it cuts longevity, cuts motivation, cuts innovation, and there is no trust. Turnover is going to be very high. I think the good way to counteract this would be a culture that just, I think it's important to know your worth and know who you are. And if you can't grow in a culture like this, it's important to try to figure out how to get out of it or to talk to someone. So in conclusion, overall, I think that all 4 of these topics truly come together. They build off of each other. They're all connected to one main idea. It's how people interpret, react, and influence each other in the workplace. The workplace is such a special area where we spend most of our lives, and if one person is changing that, it's going to impact everything. A lot of organizational behavior is just theory as of now, but I think that it's something that we can truly see in our everyday lives, whether it's in our jobs, in school, group projects, or even just the leadership style that we live in our own personal relationships. I think that it's important to put some stock in it, even though it hasn't been proven a fact just yet. I think that doesn't make it true, and it doesn't have an impact in our lives. I think it's important that you understand that you can't fully change someone's perspective, but you can learn to work with them. Thank you.